Hello Big Macs, and welcome back to another album review. So yes, Big Macs, today I'm back doing another album review. I'm catching up on all these reviews, and today if you're looking at me and you're like, wow Ryan, you're wearing a lot of black and just kind of dark things. I think it makes sense if you look down at the title down below. I found this to be very fitting because I just needed to be put in the mood for this album review, because today I'm finally here reviewing Lynch and their new album, XIII. Now this album is, I don't even know where to begin. Like, this album threw me for a loop because the few songs that I've reacted to from Lynch have all been very intense, minus Sorrow that kind of like brought it down a bit, so I should have kind of been expecting this for this album. But I was just expecting a lot of intenseness, which there is, but Lynch threw me for a loop with this one because there's a lot slower and a lot softer songs in this that they just kill as well. So let's just not even do any of this talking. You guys know from my reviews, I write down my notes in the first listen and I'm just going to read them off. We're going to go through them, discuss each song one by one, talk about what I liked. Again, there's going to be parts that I missed just because this is based off of my first listen. There have may been a couple more since writing these notes, but I'm just gonna go based off of the first listen and we'll go from there. Let's get into the first song, which I find very fitting because this is their introduction into the album, and the song is called Introduction. So this is kind of like a great introduction into Lynch because this has like some very kind of creepy electro-y synths to it. Like 2018 is the year of the synths for a lot of bands, and I'm here for it. And then it has this like nice piano playing on top of it, and then it cuts to these like very intense drums and this stuttery guitar, and it's amazing. Like, listen to that. And then they have these like choiry vocals underlying all of that as well. This is just like, this intro impressed me alone just based off of that, because I was like, oh, okay, they're getting a bit softer. Oh, I wonder if Lynch is, and then it was just like, and we're Lynch. So this was just a great introduction into the album, and I loved this kind of like creepy vibe that it already gave to it with that like choir sound in the background as well. It's just a fucking great introduction, and I wish that it was longer than like the minute and 20 seconds that it was. So now we move on to the first song in the album, not the introduction, the first song in the album called 13. And literally the first note that I wrote down here is everything on point. You can hear why. And that's why I wrote down everything's on point. I mean, you've got the snare, which is just so nice and crisp, and then you throw in these amazing guitar tones. Lynch never disappoints with any of the tones that they have in anything. And then the bass is just fucking killing it as well. And I like how in the beginning of the song, it starts off with more of like a whispery kind of vocals. And then later on in the song, you get like actual vocals and more screams, which are so fucking good. Man, he kills it. And also too, something that I noticed in this song is that they have very good use of like panning when it comes to guitars. The guitars are very well panned, and like at certain parts you'll hear one guitar from somewhere and then they draw your attention back into like the other side and just kind of like keep drawing your attention like back and forth, and it's just very well done and very clever with the way that they pan their guitars. It's almost kind of like A Crowd of Rebellion, how they do that. It's like the same with Lynch in this album. So right off the bat I was very impressed with that, and it was great. And then again, talking about the snare, there's this part in this song where he just goes ham on the snare, and then it goes into this amazing guitar solo. Like, listen to this. Like he goes ham on that snare for a while, and then it leads into a guitar solo. So what is not to like about that? And the guitar solo is amazing. It has this like kind of older sound to it. It's nothing like too crazy or too intense. And then it goes back into the song, which is awesome. And then again, talking about ham snare, he goes ham on the snare for the outro. And then it kind of like goes back into like how the intro was. And I love that ending part there with the like very distorted screams at the end. It just adds that, I don't know, it's just a nice effect at the end, and how he just carries on after all the instruments are done. Just a great, nice little ending to this fucking impressive song. Easily 13, one of my favorite songs on this album. And now we move on to the next song called Grotesque. And before we get into the song, I really just need to say I love all the song titles on this album. Like, you have the introduction, which is called Introduction, and then 13, which is, I believe it's their 13th album that they've released as well. And then you have Grotesque, which it starts off with dirty guitars, so kind of fitting there. And then we'll get to the rest of the names after, but I love all of their names on this album. So yes, as I was saying, I love that this is called Grotesque, and this song starts off with very dirty guitars. Like those guitars are so deep, and then you have that one that's kind of like picking along with it, but those guitars that are just, they're so dirt, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. And then another thing that I like about this song is that it kind of combines two different styles for the verses. Like, the drums have this very more dance driven kind of beat behind them, and then the guitars, since you've heard those tones, they have a very more metally sound to them. So the guitars have this metal sound to them, the drums have this very dance beat to it, and it's just somehow just works. And then his vocals have this very kind of like old school feel to them too. So you get the dance beat, metal guitars, old school feel vocals, and it just all works somehow because it's Lynch. And then again, how I was talking about panning in the last song and leading into a guitar solo, instead of going ham on the snare, they have this very kind of, it's very cool how they did it. This like, I mean, it's kind of, I like how they did this. It's like this like panned kind of breathing into a guitar solo. Like that, how it kind of goes like and then like picks up in pace and then goes into the guitar solo. I thought that was really well done. And then again, you have those very intense guitars playing behind that solo as well. And then the toms in this song too, especially well throughout the whole album, but in this song you notice just how like deep and heavy sounding they are. And I really want to know if Rio Trackmaker had any kind of involvement with this album, because I know that he's worked with Lynch in the past for I believe Sinners. So I wonder if he had any involvement in this, because I kind of feel like he did. Just how like dirty and amazing and crisp and deep these drums sound, I have a feeling that he definitely had to have a part in somewhere in producing or mixing this album. But I'm sure, again, you Big Macs probably know a bit more information on that than I do. So please let me know if I'm right in the comments down below. And if I am, Rio, you fucking beast. And another thing too that I think I forgot to talk about, now it's in the intro, but it's in another different part of this song as well, is that there's this like guitar sound that for some reason for me just has this like old school kind of metal-y vibe to it. Like these guitars here, it's like a very quick part, but like the guitars that are picking, like they have this, I don't know what reminded me of this, but it just has this like very old school kind of sounding metal-iness to it. I don't really know how else to explain it, but it just gave me this like old school metal vibe to it as well. So it's like they took kind of old school metal sounds and combined them with the new school intenseness. And it's Lynch, so of course it works. And then so far they've just been killing their endings, and like I just find it very nice the way that they are ending their songs. And in Grotesque they end it with these like very distorted guitars, and then it ends with like this slap delay kind of thing, and it just sounds awesome. Like I love that like, and it just like fades off very quickly. But then the guitars are like very distorted, almost kind of like bit crushed a bit. And then you just have that delay at the end. It's just so pleasing to these ears. Not just this one, but this one as well. I don't know, this hand just died for a second. And now we move on to a song that just does what Lynch always does. I mean, I was doing this throughout the entire thus far anyway, but in this song especially, Exist was just a head banger. Like, it doesn't matter, we'll get to it too, but I'll spoil it now. Throughout this entire album, I don't think this part of my body stopped doing this. Even when it was a bit of a slower song, it was still just like Like, I don't know what it is. Whenever I listen to Lynch, my head just needs to bang. Like, it just has to. Sometimes the entire body gets involved in there as well, but no matter what, I know that this head is going to do this. And then every time I finish listening to Lynch, my neck hurts just because of how much it was moving. So it's a pain that's worth it. But Exist is one of those songs just right off the bat, as soon as it starts, your head is just doing this because just listen. And now you understand why. And I should say too, another part that I liked about this song with the verses is how the drums just kept going, and like the guitars had their little pauses, so it'd be like dan dan dan, and then the drums would just keep going and his vocals would be on top of that, and then the guitars would come back in and do those like couple hits and the drums just kept going with his vocals on top of it. I don't know what it is, I just really liked that part as well. And again, in this song, it's especially when I noticed that his voice is so good. It doesn't matter if he's screaming, he's singing, he's growling, no matter what, his voice is like, how? Like Hazuki, his vocals and screams are just so impressive, and like this man is amazing. As well, the riff in this song is amazing. It just gets stuck in your head. It's already in my head just after those few snippets that I played for you. It's already repeating in this head, and I love every second of it. And then this song has a fucking amazing breakdown. And like the lead into it as well. It's magic. You know? This is like the complete opposite of the song that we're listening to now. Like, listen to this, that laugh. Like, I love that so much. And I love that little laugh that he has just before it, because he's like, you guys don't know what's coming up. And it's just so fucking good. And that lead up into it, you just know that something is intense about to happen. I even wrote down here, actually, this made my neck hurt. Because I can even remember I was sitting on my couch, I was doing this the entire time, and then when it got to that breakdown, I was just doing this, and then you go back into just doing this, and you headbang for about 4 minutes, your neck is going to hurt. But it was totally worth it. And this is another, easily one of my favorite songs on this album is Exist, just because of how fucking intense it is. Like, this song kind of reminds me of the first few songs that I listened to when I reacted to Lynch, so it reminded me of that, and it just that added a nice check to this song as well. And now we move on to a song that I was kind of not expecting this kind of a style from Lynch. Like, it kind of reminded me of Acid Black Cherry, and that song on this album is called Joker. And the reason it reminded me of that is because it has a very jazzy metal feel to it. And I found out from listening to Acid Black Cherry that I love this like jazzy metal sound. It's two genres that I never thought of anyone putting together or anyone would really put together, and it just somehow works. Like, it has this like big band kind of 50s sound with new metal, and just how. And then this song, because of how it has that like old school jazzy big band kind of sound, the guitar riffs and the bass riffs or the bass grooves are just so impressive in this song. Like, just listen to this craziness. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm just so impressed by this song, how it has that, just like the way that the instruments are played has that old school big band kind of sound, but it's all played with like guitars and bass and the drums, and they all have that metal sound to it. So it's just very, very clever. And then in this song too, they have this unexpected claps, and there's this guitar part that reminds me of that song Beautiful People. Like, let's see where it is, so see if you guys agree with what I'm talking about as well. And it just makes me want to see them live to join in on this clapping. But here's the guitar that I was talking about. Like, that guitar that like it just reminded me of that song Beautiful People. I'm gonna pull up that song so you can hear it again. I haven't listened to this, so I could be completely wrong. So this is going to be me testing it out to see if I was close. Like this. Doesn't it kind of have that like same sound to it? Like, doesn't it? Or am I just going crazy? For some reason, it just reminded me a lot of that. And again, I haven't heard that song in a while, so it was like a nice little, I was like, oh my God. As soon as that part started, I was like, beautiful people, Marilyn Manson. So that, again, added a nice little check mark for me. I've been praising his vocals a lot for this, but the screams and the growls in this song are so on point. There's so many nice little subtle guitar parts in here as well. And this song is just so impressive. I love this groove that is happening in this song. And again, I like how it has this very old school jazzy big band sound, but played with like metal. I don't know how else to explain it. It was just very cleverly done, and Joker is a yes. And now we move on to a song that I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly. I'm definitely not. I believe it is called Renatus. I turned into Robert De Niro there for a second, just like I'm just gonna skip what the song is called and have you guys make fun of me in the comments. This song starts off with like these very old school kind of sounding, and then goes into this like very dirty guitar part, like, and then it goes dirty. And then I love that guitar there, and then it goes back into this like old school sound. Like it was like if you were to take Buck-Tick and then combine them with a bit more of a heavier side as well. But this song very much so reminded me of Buck-Tick, just with like the guitar sounds, the drums, it just a lot of the instrumentation, and then his vocals as well. Kind of reminds me of the lead singer from Buck-Tick as well. And if you guys watched my reaction video to Buck-Tick, you know that I can't. The Buck-Tick, it's speechless, really, is what it is. So this song right away just hit a lot of checks for me. And I don't, again, kind of like other songs that I've talked about before, I don't have a lot to say about this song, just because I was enjoying it so much that I wasn't really writing down any notes. I was just bobbing my head, headbanging along, and just enjoying the vibe of this song a bit too much. But I did write down here again, there's another great guitar solo, and it continues into like a singing part. And as I don't know if you guys have seen previous videos, but I really like when guitar solos don't just have like a certain section and then they cut off there. I like it when they continue back into another part and get like incorporated into another part of the song. And they kind of did that in this one as well. And like, you see how it just kind of keeps like, it's not as intense, but it keeps up at that part as it's going back into the song. I just really like how it is, because it doesn't just like, it doesn't follow like that structure of just like guitar solo here, then stop, and then back into the song. This kind of like transitions with the parts of the song to go back into it, if that made any sense. And then they have this like nice fake ending as well. Like here. I loved that. Like, that is just so clever. I was like, oh, I didn't want this song to end. And then it just like, we're not done. But I also like that like delay sound that they have into it. And then they just cut that off to nothing and then just go back into it. It was a very nice touch. And then obviously the song continues after that and then has an actual ending, which was depressing. But overall, I really love how this song had a very old school vibe to it. And again, it just shows that, as I was saying, it's not all Lynch, is just not all that intense fucking craziness. They also have this other lighter and old school side to them that they just fucking nail as well. Speaking of a different side to Lynch, we move on to the next song called Amble, and this song is a bit softer than the rest of the album, but again shows that Lynch, no matter what kind of song they're playing, it's going to sound amazing. And I will say, as much as I do love the different guitar sounds that they have in this, the bass in this song, like if you just listen to that clip, the bass fucking kills it. The bass is just fucking on point in this song. Like, it's going crazy and it's going ham, but it's not too distracting from the rest of the song. Like, it's just so perfectly in there and so perfectly just crazy, and it just kills it in this song. And as well, going back to another love of mine, the snare in this song isn't as like intense and in your face as it is in the rest of the album. This snare in this song has like a bit more of like a drier sound to it. Like, you hear how it's not so like tight and just in your face. It's a bit more laid back, and it works very well with the style of this song. So very nice on you guys. Again, Rio, if you were involved in this at all. And then again, the vocals in this song are very, very awesome. Like, his voice is so good, man. I love his voice is so fucking good. Like, I love how he has like these like shaky vocals when he's holding notes. It's not just the straight note. He has that kind of like, what, I forget what the fucking word is right now. I can't think, but just how like shaky his vocals are is just, it's so good, and it's so unique and very, it just works somehow. And again, this song also kind of had a bit more of a buck tick kind of vibe to it to me as well. So again, that won me over. And you know that the bass is seriously good in this song. When I not only wrote bass is killing it, I wrote a second note saying bass is seriously crazy. Like, the bass in this song is so impressive, and I don't know how he has to have like 16 hands to be able to play like this throughout an entire, this song too. I'm glad that this was a longer song because I fucking loved this song. Again, easily another one of my favorites on this album, but this song is 5 minutes and 19 seconds. So to be able to play the bass as crazy as he does for that long, he has to have hands that he just like, it's like he's like reloading a gun. Like, he's just playing and then his hands are spent, so he just like shoots them off and then other hands reload and then he starts playing bass again. And then again too, I'm normally not a fan of fade outs, but this song, much like Unfinished by the Gazette, how they had that fade out, I like the fade out in this song as well. It worked. Like, I think the reason why most times I don't like fade outs too much is because you can tell that they didn't know how to end the song, so they just had it fade out. But then sometimes in like this, you just have it where it just feels like the song could just carry on forever, and then they just have that fade out and you just still go into it. And again, as I was saying before, even though that they had some lighter songs, my head and my entire body was still just, I don't know how Lynch does this. They've put me under some kind of spell probably from the first time when I watched their videos and they gave me some intense looks. They probably put me on some trance where anytime I hear Lynch, I have to just move my head. It doesn't matter, even if I'm driving, even if I'm just sitting there, my head is going to do this. But again, Amble, easily another one of my favorite songs on this album, just because of this like fucking nice softer side to them. And now again, I've said this about a couple of songs already, but again, we move on to another one of my favorite songs on this album, and that is Sense of Emptiness. And that is the complete opposite of what this song gave me. Like, this song just starts off checking all the marks for me. Like, the intro to this song is so beautiful. Like, I wrote down here, beautiful intro, yes, everything, yes. They incorporated strings, which was already a plus for me. The guitars are killing it on top of that. And then you throw his vocals in. It's so well done. And just that more kind of like minimal drum beat. But I really love how the strings have this like swell effect on them. How it's not just the note. They kind of go like, nah, nah. Like, if you were listening to it, it sounds a lot better than what I just did with this. But I really like how they just had that kind of effect on them. It gave it a good dynamic. And then again, I like how these verses, they still have that vibe to them, but the drums give it this like kind of different vibe to it, just because they have like a very kind of more funky, more driven guitar beat, like here. And then I love that too, that guitar that just goes like dun, dun, dun. But I like how if they wanted it to be like a very soft song, they could have done that by just having the drums just do like a very basic thing. But I like how they didn't, and they had the drums play something that was a bit more like, and not, I wouldn't say heavy, but a bit more busy than what everything else kind of sounded when you have like the strings and that light guitar picking, and then his vocals kind of having that bit more of a softer vibe to them as well. I like how they still had the drums kind of giving the song a bit more drive. And then again, talking about dynamics, I like how the verses are, as I was saying before, a bit softer, and then when it gets to the chorus is when it picks up, and his vocals are so fucking good. And then the guitars have a like more metally, rockier sound to them. Like the vocals in this song are so good. The vocals in every song are so good, but especially in Sense of Emptiness, they're so fucking good. And then as well, I feel like I could praise this song for a very long time. Again, I'm very happy that a lot of Lynch's songs are a lot longer than what normally you get, like 3.5 minutes or so. A lot of their songs are like 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes, and I'm okay with that. But I really also too, again, like the guitars at the ending of this song. But I like those guitars, but then I like how they have those like subtle kind of like almost choiry vocal just hits at certain parts that go along with it, like these. Like that kind of has like that organy kind of like choir sound to it. I just really like how they have that on top of the guitar, and then it just ends with that guitar strum. Such a beautiful song. And now we move on to the song 5. And this song just shows how fucking good the drums sound, because it starts off with just the drums and you get a sense of how perfect the drums are mixed. And then I just love how like the introduction into this very distorted bass, and then you just have the drums in this very dirty bass playing. Like, so here are the perfect drums. It's so fucking punchy. And then the bass, like, it's just so dirty. Like, they know how to get these sounds, and thank you, Lynch, for them. And again, this song is kind of like a different take on a build-up, because normally, you know how build-ups are a lot slower, but this is like, here's this instrument, here's this instrument, here's this, and then like full band. So it's like, it starts off with just the drums, and then you get the bass coming in, and then you have the vocals that are introduced, and then it goes into this like nice full band. Like, I just like that, how it's just each thing kind of slowly gets introduced into this song, but not in the typical build-up kind of slower vibe way. This is like a more punkier rock build-up, and it was just very nicely done. Again, the guitars are fucking good in this song. Everything in this song is amazing. Again, I didn't write down too many notes in this because I was just enjoying listening to this song. Like, it was just a song that I was just sitting there and I was like, and then about halfway through it, I'm like, I don't think I've written anything down yet. Again, with the screams, they have like a very good distorted sound on them, like this. Like, I really like how they almost sound kind of like crushed almost. It's like a good effect on them as well. It makes them a lot more intense as well. And I really, again, too, speaking of the guitars, or going back to the guitars, I like how they are in the verses, like this. Like how they just have like a few full notes and then like muted, like, it's, I don't know, I liked it. And then again in this song there's a fucking killer guitar solo. I don't want to play that part. You go listen to this song for yourself to listen to the guitar solo. But really, that's all I wrote down about this song in my first listen, because as I was saying before, I fucking just love the vibe of this song. So I was kind of enjoying it a bit too much to even write down anything. So that should tell you how I feel about this song. Like, there's a few songs on this album where I just completely forgot that I was writing a review for it, or just like trying to take notes for a review for it, where I was just kind of sitting there and just, again, the head doing this. And then I was like, about halfway through it, I was like, oh yeah, I was doing something. I wasn't just enjoying this album. I was also writing notes for this album. And then we move on to the interlude. Again, perfectly titled interlude. And I really like this interlude because it uses like a ticking sound, and for some reason that just reminds me a lot of like Hans Zimmer with his like Christopher Nolan sounds. He always has some kind of like ticking clock in it or some kind of clockwork in it, so it kind of reminded me of that. And then they have this really nice piano on top of it, and then it has this like a great synth and electronic beat on top of that, and it kind of gives this like Matrix-esque sound to it. Like it's almost like they're not even drums. It's almost like they're just very like staticky hits. So I don't know how they did that, but I really like those sounds. And again, this was just a very nice interlude into this album, kind of give you a nice little relaxing break, but still my head was still going like this while listening to this, but it was a bit like softer, so it's like I was still kind of resting up my neck a bit, because next up we're here with the song Faith. And the reason I think that they put in that interlude is because they're like, okay, we're going to give them this break, and then we're going to hit them with Faith, which just brings back all the intenseness. Sorry, I'm getting distracted, but the drums in this song fucking kill it, man. They're so good. Like, they just have a lot of different beats that get thrown into certain different parts that all work. And I just really love the drums in Faith. And then there's this really nice like bass break that's in this song as well. Like that part, I love that. And I love the part just before that too, where it's just like the snare, and like they have it too with like the vocals, but also the guitars, where the snare is just like da 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 da, and then like everything kind of plays off of that sound as well. It was just very clever. And then you have that bass break, and then goes into the next part of the song. And then also too, there's like these subtle kind of like synths or guitars. I'm not really sure what they are, but there's just like this very subtle either guitar or synth sounds in this as well that I really liked. My only complaint about this song is, I agree with this last note that Ryan wrote, is that this song is too short. This is like the only time that they've put a song out that's a bit too short for me, because I fucking loved just how intense and how it just like brought everything down. And then they introduced Faith that was just like, oh, you forgot we're Lynch, we're gonna go fucking crazy. And that's kind of what this song did. And it's only like 2 minutes and 50 seconds, but I needed this song to be like that 5 minutes as well. And now we move on to probably what is this? You might not be able to see it, but there's this, what is that? As I was saying, now we're moving on to probably my favorite song on this album. It's just because it's so fucking clever, and that is Obvious. And again, I remember how I was telling you I liked the way that their song titles were. I like that this is called Obvious because obviously this is my favorite song on this album. Dad joke. But yes, I fucking love this song. Like, it starts off so good. It just has this like electronic beat that I think kind of plays throughout the entire song, whether they just bring it down for certain parts and then back up. But I fucking love this. Like, I'll play it for you in a second, but then it has like these very nice affected guitars to go into the song as well. They're so fucking crushed. Like, I just fucking, yes, this is the Lynch that I first reacted to, and I think that also kind of is why I just liked it so much. But I really fucking love how how it's like so crushed, and it's almost like they duck it down under everything and then bring it back up for certain parts, and you get like just breaks of that, and it's just so fucking clever and so intense, and I just love this song so much. Like this. Like those pauses, and then like I love it so much. And then as you're hearing it's a little bit for the chorus, it kind of has this like different side to it where it's a bit more like lighter but not too much. But I just love these guitar pauses, and then how it goes back into, it's just so fucking good. And I even wrote down here, this song just you just need to just do this during those breaks, and then during other parts of the song you just have to headbang. Like, this song just makes you need to move. And then there's like the guitar pauses go into a breakdown as well. It's like that. Oh my god, it's so fucking good. And then I love the ending of this song as well. It's just so good. And then I wrote down here too, the last note that I wrote about this song is that I realized after, I was like, this song changed styles and I didn't even notice. Like it had that very like electronic driven part at times, and then it had that more metally side, and then I was telling you the chorus had this bit more of like a lighter side to it, and then it would go back down to like the and it's something I didn't even notice until after. I was like, yeah, this song fucking changed styles a lot, and I didn't even notice. That's how fucking clever Lynch is. But again, as I was saying, Obvious is easily my favorite song on this album just because of fucking how clever it is. And now, sadly, we are here with the last song called A Fool. And again, I'm going to tell you one of my notes right now just so you understand what was happening while I was listening to this song is didn't write a lot because I was too focused on this song. I had to make sure that I wrote this down, so then when I was reading it now, I would have been like, why didn't I really write anything? Is because I was just like sitting there just because this song is so good. It starts off with these nice guitar sounds and electronics. It has like these like electronic kind of drums with like real drums. Like, this is what I mean. I was just sitting here like this while listening to this song. And I think another reason why I was getting distracted while listening to this song is because the lyrics in this song are very like deep and kind of you can hear a lot of emotion behind them, and they're kind of a bit more intense of just like talking about how he hates being useless and just I couldn't focus on writing that. I was just so into this song. And then they have a nice drum fill that goes into the verses as well. Like that. And then I like how it changes up, like it starts picking up a bit. It's just so clever, but I like how that drum fill, it's like intense and then stops a bit and then goes back into the drum fill and then picks up into a bit more of a faster paced beat. This song is just very cleverly done, and I know I didn't write a lot here, but these are the notes that I wrote for this song. It's just nice guitar sounds and electronics, deep lyrics, nice drum fill into the verse. That's what I was just talking about. I love his shaky vocals. It's like that, like it's just so good. And then the second last note I wrote here is because I was so distracted, is that I didn't realize until the song was almost done that I didn't really write anything, is that didn't write a lot because I was too focused on the song. Like I was just so focused on how beautiful everything sounded, and I really liked the lyrics and just how more deep and kind of meaningful they were. Not to like bash any of the other songs that they've done, but especially in this song you could hear like a bit more of a meaningful lyrics, if that makes sense. And then this song has this very unexpected piano and choir ending. Like I should have kind of caught on to that throughout the rest of this album because it has that kind of a feel to it in a lot of songs, but just like, and I can't think of any better way for this song to end than this. And then sadly, that is 13 by Lynch. I mean, sadly because it's over, not because that was the ending to it. Sadly because the album is done. But again, there you have it, Big Macs. That was me reviewing 13 by Lynch. And I am just so impressed by Lynch throughout this album because going into it, I'm going to be honest, I've only heard, like, I've bought a few smaller albums from them because in Canada, they might have changed it now, but when I first learned about Lynch, they only had, like, the, like, EPs or just the short albums that only had, like, 2 or 3 songs on them. And from those, more of the songs that I heard were a bit more intense. So going into this album, I was expecting to be a lot more intense than what it actually was. But again, as I was saying, when I heard or reacted to the song Sorrow, it had that lighter side to Lynch. So it's like, I should have been expecting it, but it was just so, like, it's so good. Like, I got to see so many new different sides to Lynch than what I knew from just the videos that I've made on them already. And every side they killed. Like, it was so good. So many different sounds, so many different styles. and they did amazingly throughout all of them. Like Lynch, I just need to hear way more from you guys than I already have. And again, I need to see you live because I need to headbang to you guys live in person. But yes, Big Macs, again, that was me reviewing 13 by Lynch, and I fucking loved this album. But enough of what I thought. Let me know what you, Big Macs, thought of this album in the comments down below. And again, Big Macs, let me know what your favorite songs were in the comments down below. I told you a bit of my few favorite ones, but easily my favorite song on this album is Obvious. As well, Big Macs, if you guys did enjoy this video, I'd love it if you click that thumbs up button down below. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, you can do so by clicking that subscribe button down there as well. And if you wanted to, you can click on that little bell icon down there, and that notifies you when I upload a new video, so you never miss one from this just seriously so impressed by Lynch face. They have so many new different sides to them that I didn't even know about, and it's so fucking good. And as well, Big Macs, in case you guys did not know, I also have Patreon and merch. So if you wanted to check those out and support what I'm doing on this channel, you can do so by clicking those links in the description down below. On Patreon, you can view videos a day early as well as a few different other rewards. So click that link down there. And as well for merch, if you wanted to check it out, get a few different designs. I was going to show you my shirt. This is a Lost Boys shirt from Peter Pan. It has nothing to do with my merch. But if you wanted to purchase something from my merch, that'd be fucking awesome as well. But as always, please just make sure to take care of yourself first. Microphone, I just punched the shit out of you with my wrist, and I'm sorry. And as always, Big Macs, today's biggest Mac is going to go to someone again that I'm not sure if I've already given them a shout out, but I'm going to shout them out again in case, because they've just been giving me a lot of love. And that is Monica_GZT over here on Instagram. Yes, recently, again, Monica, I'm not sure if this is again or if this is the first time. Your name seems familiar, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yes, recently Monica over here just gave me a follow and spam liked a lot of my pictures. So seriously, thank you so much for all that love over on Instagram. You are today's biggest Mac for the first time or potentially again. But either way, Big Macs, make sure you go over onto Monica's Instagram over there. Go give them a follow, spam like all of their pictures, and just give them as much love and support as they've been giving me over on Instagram. And seriously, Monica, once again, thank you so much for all that love over on Instagram. You are today's biggest Mac. But anyway, Big Macs, I need to go listen to Obvious again. After reviewing this, that beat is just stuck in my head. So I need to go and listen to this song again. And again, I just need to go and figure out more about Lynch, because after listening to this album, again, I got to hear so many different sides to them that I didn't know they have, and all of them were impressive. So I need to go and listen and figure out way more about Lynch than I already do, and I need to figure out how I can go and see them live, because I need to do this in person. That could have been kind of weird, but I hope that you understood what that meant. But anyway, Big Macs, once again, I hope that you guys did enjoy this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.